Hello again, everyone. This is Game Collector, and once again, I have another Transformer. As mentioned in last week's review, I mentioned bringing up another character. This was in G1 my very first Triple Changer figure. And when he came out for the Classics line, he was my very first Classics figure. Odd, because the only two Triple Changers released during Classics were the only two I owned. What are you gonna do? Yes, this is Astrotrain, and he turns into a bullet train with a giant gun mounted on the back, and rocket boosters in the very back of the train. I would run if I saw this, or I would try to have it put on railways where they were having trouble moving fast. Except Japan, because Japan already has those. I kid. Anyway, you can remove the gun from the back, and it doesn't really do too much. He has little wheels up front and little tiny wheels in the back. The wheels in the middle don't move, but you'll see why. Anyway, you have to unpeg them from this back portion and raise this part up. And now it looks like some sort of weird hot dog. Rotate that back piece so these points are facing up. Then you split the front of the train and turn the whole thing upside down. But wait! Alright. You kind of have to turn him like this first. Fold this bottom section up. Turn it around while you're thinking about it. And I have to adjust the camera so it's not so blurry, but it's going to stay blurry no matter what. Except now. There is this peg here, which it's this black peg down here by my thumb. There's some paint rubbing off of it. And that hole there. You have to line them up. And trust me, this part is a little tricky. And there, got it. On the opposite side, you have the peg on the train, on the front of the train, and the hole right there. You can barely make it out right by my finger. If you can make it out, congratulations. Your sight on my camera is better than mine. And then it's just a matter of pulling out the landing gear, which can be something of a fight. Does help if you... there we go. And then, for the gun, that little side hole here, side peg goes in that hole. And, yeah, now he's the space shuttle mode. And yeah, the landing gear and the wheels on the bottom all roll. Not very well, though. And what is this? Yes, it is a heat-sensitive rub sign. Unlike a majority of my other classic figures, this one actually works when I rub it with my thumb. There you go. It's green, then it's going to go back to brown in a few seconds. If you can even see that. But yeah, the rub sign on this guy still works. And it's in the same place on his G1 figure, though it is turned that way, so it's not sideways. And lastly, to get him into his robot mode, you just have to pull this, turn it around, and naturally you might want to unpeg the gun. And you didn't really see much of that because of how the camera was positioned. So raise the camera up. Now you pull the gun off, pull it back, rotate around, and those two giant holes there, yeah, they're meant to hold that. Now you unpeg these and hold straight out. And I do have, when you do the arms, which I did incorrectly, you hold it straight out, fold down, and pull out. Now again, this part just kind of wiggles into place however it wants, but it doesn't really do that when you have something in its hand. The other way to solve that problem is to have his hand constantly held up like that. So I will be using this arm to show you his arm movements. Or you can make him look like Napoleon or something, with like one shoulder just completely flat out like that. And you pull the front of the shuttle to form the legs. There's a little clever thing here. You fold this up, and there's a little hole right there, and a little tiny peg on the other side that was mentioned earlier. Whoa, camera. Whoa. Pop that in there. Pop that out. Split it. And you can leave the landing gear out to give him a heel, which actually helps balance him, as I have found out throughout the years. This was my very first figure in Classics. Whoa. All those years ago. Which is surprising because the rub sign works this is like the one figure I have where the rub sign works better than any other figure that I've ever owned. Pull the arm up so the shell doesn't go all wiggly, wiggly, wiggly. Finally, pull the back out. Little tiny tab right there. And boom! We have some Astrotrain as soon as I get his chest panel. There. There he is. Oh, pardon me. Now, yes, this is on one of the original Classics line. His head is on a ball joint, so he can rotate 360 degrees. And as part of a transformation, his head is on a... You can actually make him look up at things. He can't look down, but he can look up. The shoulder is on a hinge and a ball. You can't really utilize the ball joint very well because the wings get in the way. But that is easily relieved by folding them like so, turning it into a large backpack, and then just kind of rotating it around, which, because it's on a ball joint, 360 degrees. Elbow's on a ball joint, but again, because of his kibble, you don't get a lot of use out of it. You can go up and down, and that's about it. Legs are a slightly different story, because he can do the splits. Not that he can, because kibble. Despite the fact that he has a lot of kibble, and, you know, the fact that he has this knee swivel, and that the joints in his thighs and knees, the kibble doesn't really subtract from his robot mode because it's just kind of how we remember him in the old cartoon and how you had the old toy. Doesn't subtract from the figure at all, and the only time it really gets in the way is on the shoulders, the back, the legs, and the elbows. I mean, the kibble gets in the way of most of the more intuitive posability, which unfortunately kind of makes a brick out of him. There is one little tiny tidbit with his rifle, and it's not a bad tidbit because this may be a second generation minicon, but just about all minicons can peg into his rifle like so. They could probably peg into the standard handhole too, because this is one of the ones from, yeah, you know what I'm talking about. There is another gimmick that he has, and it's featured with another figure because it's like a whole backwards, forwards compatible thing. But I don't have that figure, and I probably won't for a long time. But when I do, I'll be sure to show you guys that special ability. But right now I'm going to pull him back, and I'm going to show you his old bio card from like 05 or something. 06? That was 6 years ago. Of course. Well, duh. It's 2012. Of course it's going to be 6 years ago. Simple math. Now I just need to adjust the camera so you can read it a little bit more clearly when I pull it up close. Or it'll be one giant blurry blob, you know, because why should it auto adjust? Feel free to pause here. Wow, that is some long bio. I can't even show it all at once. You may have to squint and push your face right up to the screen to read all of that, but I suggest you pause right about now. You done? Well, good. And here are his stats. Strength 9, Intelligence 7, Speed 9. That's to be expected when you're a train with a rocket booster attached to your rear end. Endurance 8, Rank 6, Courage 6, Fire Blaster, Firepower 7, and Skill 5. And that is it, everyone. I will see you again next week with another awesome Transformer. One that everyone was clamoring over when it came out. Later.